Hello and welcome to a new edition of Design for the Times. I'm your host, Richard Christopher Scuderi. Well, you know, this time of year, things start to feel and look a little bit different, and I really wanted to do the show at this time, and things worked about that Greg came in just at the right time and said, you know what, I'm available. Let's do a show before Thanksgiving about holiday entertaining. He has such a product line that's so unusual, so upscale, I felt I really wanted to display it. His name is Gregory, and we'll do it together.
Conocchioli.
Conocchioli. And Greg has a brand called Gregory Benjamin, and it's marmalades and preserves.
Preserves and conserves.
Very beautiful, upscale stuff. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Oh, so it's a pleasure to do this. I want to talk, I love holiday entertaining. Mm-hmm. We have some wonderful slides that you're going to show us, so maybe we could put the first one up of the holiday entertaining. I think, you know, today we sort of deviate a little bit because we're talking a little bit about food products. But if you take a look at your shot that you have, this is gorgeous. I don't know where you shot this, but
my dining room table.
Yeah, this is just beautiful. It's sort of the portrait of Thanksgiving, isn't it? It's beauty. And I think beauty in design, which is what our show is, sort of design-centric, also extends to entertaining. Remember years ago, Martha Stewart used to have a show that was on 5 days a week?
That's
Do you
right.
remember like that?
That's right.
And it was all about living well, and I think this is part of living well. So I want to start talking about the Gregory Benjamin brand, mm-hmm. and where did you really, what gave you the start to go into this sort of upscale marmalades and preserves? Was it something you loved? Did you fall into it? How did it come about?
I've been doing, I just turned 65.
God bless you.
I have been doing this for 57 years.
Wow.
I grew up on Staten Island,
mm-hmm.
and I had neighbors who taught me how to make preserves.
So I have to totally stop you there, saying, being Italian and spending like the 1970s every Sunday over the bridge to Brooklyn when it was a quarter, right, each way, that Staten Island, long before that bridge, was a very kind of a rural place, wasn't it?
It was like Princeton, where we are today.
Yeah, rolling hills.
Exactly. Where the Staten Island Mall is now was an airstrip.
Wow.
And I remember that. I remember before the expressway was built on Staten Island, it took you 40 minutes to get to the South Shore if you lived on the North Shore. Right. And now with an expressway, it takes you an hour and a half.
Oh yeah, there's traffic at 3 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday.
Exactly.
But we don't want to digress too much of that because we have a lot to cover. So were there a lot of fruit trees back in the day in Staten Island?
There were loads of fruit trees, but our yard possessed a lot of fruit trees. I grew up in a neighborhood that was like Princeton. Mm-hmm. And we had 2 peach trees. We had 2 different kinds of cherry trees. We had blueberry bushes. We had a raspberry patch. We had 2 different kinds of pear trees. Wow. We had apple trees.
So you had a plethora of fruit trees.
Absolutely.
And I think when we talked a little bit with the pre-interview, it was not your own family, but your neighbors that were doing this, right?
My neighbors were I grew up in a very ethnically diverse neighborhood.
Okay. Were they non-Italians?
They were a Jewish family.
Okay.
And when I was a little kid, I used to save newspapers during the summer for something to do.
Right.
And I would go around the neighborhood on Saturdays and I would collect newspapers. And I would collect from my neighbors and I would watch them preparing a different kind of preserve or jam every Saturday.
Wow.
And I was mystified by it. And I come from a family where my father owned a very high-end restaurant on Staten Island, so I am a foodie, but I never knew that people could make their own preserves.
Right.
And so I would watch them, and finally one Saturday I said, can't I help? And I got to wash the jars, and I got to peel the fruit, and gradually by the end of the summer I had made my own batch of my spiced peach preserves, which though they were all my children, that is my favorite.
Is your favorite fruit because it comes from the beginning. Let's talk about and define, because I'm not even quite clear, because you have product here that's just beautiful and layered and complex.
Thank you.
And there's so many ways to use it, entertaining. Maybe we could go to the next shot. Let's talk about the differences between, let's discuss it, because you did this a little bit before when we were being mic'd up. Let's talk about what is a preserve. What exactly is a preserve?
Well, let me start with, we'll do jelly, jam, preserves.
Okay.
Marmalade.
Do you sell jellies or you don't sell jellies?
I don't sell jellies at this moment. I am experimenting with coffee jellies and tea jellies at this moment.
So what is a jelly?
So a jelly is the juice of any fruit.
Okay.
Okay, and so that's a rather clear, translucent kind of product that has the texture of of that cranberry jelly that you buy in a can.
Sure. Now, how is that different than jam?
Okay, jam is pulverized fruit.
Okay.
That is cooked in the same way, the same amounts of sugar, the same amounts of pectin, the same amounts of butter, or what have you. And but it is purely ground fruit.
Okay, as opposed to just the juice.
As opposed to the juice.
And then what's a preserve?
A preserve are pieces of whole fruit.
Okay.
Whether it be strawberries, you can't really get a whole raspberry and that kind of thing, but more stone fruits, harder fruits that are suspended in either jelly or jam.
So if we take a look right here in the graphic, these are all preserves?
So these are one of them is a marmalade, which the Country Christmas Marmalade. I won a gold medal for at the marmalade competition in Great Britain.
Now, is marmalade classically orange?
Marmalade is classically citrus.
Citrus. So you could have a lime marmalade.
You can have a lime marmalade. You can have a grapefruit marmalade. You can have a lemon marmalade. It's always a citrus base.
Citrus fruit. Okay.
Always, always, always.
Okay. And then the middle one?
And then the middle one is Greg's Holiday Reserve.
Okay.
And that came about 1 year in my first year of my business. I said, I'm going to make a special Christmas preserve that I'm going to do as gifts. And that was it, and I'll make thousands of them a year.
Do many people buy your products because they use them in conjunction to baking? Because to me, they're a natural to add to holiday baking. So something like that in particular, maybe they do a drop cookie where people do the thumbprint,
exactly,
and they put them in
exactly. But my lemon blueberry preserves, for instance.
Is that your signature one?
Yeah.
I have to tell you, when I told people I was doing the show today, one of my clients grabbed me and she goes, "I want some lemon blueberry." So you have a good following on social media, and that's the one. She's like, "Get me a lemon blueberry."
Okay.
So is that the most popular? Or
that's our #1 seller.
Is it?
It's made with wild Maine blueberries, extracts that have been blended just for us.
Right.
And it's my #1. But I also have taken that. I've taken my products and turned them into pantry staples as ingredients for other things, so that I have a recipe for turning that into a salad dressing.
Wow.
My orange almond apricot preserves, I have that a recipe for turning that into an Asian glaze. So it's a base,
right? It's a base.
It's a base. It's an incredible on peanut butter and toast. Incredible on your English muffin with
maybe if you made a duck or poultry.
But it's an ingredient for it's an ingredient for your sauces. I have a honey roasted tomato and hatch green chili pepper preserve that's made with roasted onions and garlic. I have a customer who tells me that her husband will not go out for a hamburger any longer unless she's carrying a jar of that.
With you.
Because that's what he puts on his burger.
Let's break it down for the viewers a little bit, because it's a lot of different product lines. So we kind of have it down. We have what a jelly is, we have what a jam is, we have what a preserve is, and now we know what a marmalade is.
Right.
So within what you brought today, let's actually maybe hold up some of the different things and talk about some of the best ways to use them. So now this first one.
So this is a scented port wine cranberry conserve.
Yum.
A conserve is essentially a jam or a preserve that has the addition of dried fruits and nuts in it.
So what would be the best application to serve this?
So this, you put this out as your cranberry sauce this Thanksgiving.
Oh, this is your cranberry sauce.
You'll fold a little of this into
Can I see that?
Yes.
This is the camera over here?
Yep.
Okay, so if we could take a look at that. So using this as cranberry sauce, and it has port wine?
Port wine.
And
the dried fruits have been macerated in port wine.
Okay.
And you'll also can use that by folding that into a little Dijon mustard and a mayonnaise mixture, and use it on that day after Thanksgiving turkey sandwich.
Couldn't be better than that.
So this is something that we do specifically from this time of the year through Christmas time.
Am I naive to think if somebody took pastry dough or whatever, that you could create just by using your product some sort of a tart or something?
Oh, well, sure.
It's the whole filling.
Absolutely.
Would anybody take the blueberry and make a pie out of it?
I wouldn't, because it's going to be too sweet.
Because what happens when these beautiful preserves are put in the oven, don't they sort of...
They become liquefied.
Right. So
I mean, they will congeal again.
Right.
But it's a mess.
Right.
I mean, it's a mess in your oven.
So there are only really specific applications where I think that it would work. Maybe like in a thumb cookie.
But between the layers of a cake, you might you
need some separation.
Exactly.
Okay.
Where you're doing a tart and you want to glaze it in something, so you'll thin these and use this as a glaze on your fresh fruit. Top a cheesecake with it as it is.
Oh, that's terrific. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's great. So that's sort of a holiday one and kind of sweet. I'm more of a savory guy personally.
Okay.
So let's talk about some of the savory ones.
Okay. So some of the savory things that I've done right now are the honey roasted Hatch green chili pepper preserve with the roasted onion and garlic.
Is it very hot?
Well, I do 3 different levels.
Okay.
My original was the plain honey roasted tomato.
Do you have one of those here?
I think we have it in the box, but we didn't put it out.
That's fine. We don't have to put it. Okay.
And then I've done 2 additional heats.
Okay.
I have done a blackberry honey roasted tomato, Hatch green chili, roasted onion and garlic, with the addition of jalapeno, and that's a medium heat. And then I've done a high heat, a honey roasted raspberry, tomato, Hatch green chili, roasted onion and garlic, and that is super heated.
Of your 3, are you a hot guy or
I'm a hot guy, but I'm
I should have phrased that
right.
different. So I don't like heat at all. So I would probably go with the first one.
Nor do I.
What sells the best?
My original, the mild, the honey roasted.
The mild one.
Yes.
So I went to one of the guests on a previous show. It was a restaurant that I had done, a Middle Eastern restaurant.
Yes.
And when he does a antipasto platter, sort of with a Mediterranean, Middle Easternish kind of theme, he always incorporates with the breads and some of the things that he has, he always has some marmalade in there.
Okay.
So I think these work very well with like an antipasto. So what would you put something like that with?
So my answer to that are one of 2 different products. We have this is a sugar plum conserve.
Okay.
Sugar plums were a 16th and 17th century word only, which meant something pleasurable.
Okay. So there is something that's a fruit that's specifically a sugar plum?
Well, yes. In the late 17th century, they would take chopped apricots, dates, almonds, and they would chop that together and mold it into a bonbon, if you will.
Right.
And it was held together with a scented honey, and it was always surrounded by a cardamom seed or a piece of cinnamon.
Really
stick,
complex.
so that it perfumed things.
Right.
But it was really, the word sugar plum only meant something pleasurable.
Okay.
And so I developed a sugar plum conserve. It's an apricot preserve base. It has the addition of dried apricots. It has the addition of the dried dates. It has the toasted almonds, and it additionally has. I made it into the 21st century, and for color, I've done some dried cranberries.
Wow. So of the product line you have, how many different types of jams, conserves, jellies? I don't even have jellies.
I make 47 kinds.
It's 47 varieties.
And some are just purely seasonal.
Now, these are all kind of your own creation, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So you're not going to some sort of a cookbook and saying, okay, I'll try the...
No.
There are things that you try. So do you ever have misses? Like, do you ever go, all right, I'm going to try something today, and I'm going to do, like, pumpkin almond something, or whatever, something that's outside the box, and you're like, wow, this is not going to work.
Where does it come from? That has not happened.
Wow, that's great.
Okay.
Well, you probably have a good sense of food.
I do, but I, for instance, when I was going to make my first cocktail marmalade, it was the Manhattan marmalade.
Okay.
And it was like a chemistry project to me. It was. Let
me just put it in so I can get it over here. So this is a Manhattan marmalade. So my favorite drink is a Jameson's Manhattan.
Okay.
So I love to have them. I entertain with them at the holidays, but pretty much most of the year, that's what I drink in the winter when I go out. So how is this like a Manhattan?
Well,
it actually physically it looks like a Manhattan.
Right.
So how is this like a Manhattan?
Well, it's a marmalade.
Okay.
So the oranges have been steeped, and when you make a marmalade, you first have to make a stock.
Right.
Because you're using the rind and you're not getting any juice from it.
Sure.
So you make a stock out of oranges, but my stock is steeped in Dad's Hat rye whiskey and sweet vermouth. Dad's Hat Rye Whiskey.
So it actually has the liquor in it?
Absolutely.
Okay, I want
Absolutely.
that one too.
Okay. And
oh, that must taste unbelievable.
so this was a chemistry project to me. It was when am I going to add the alcohol? Am I going to steep the oranges totally in alcohol? Is it going to be?
How does alcohol affect the chemistry of the thickness, the viscosity?
It's an essence. That's all it is.
Because it's done as an essence.
It's an essence.
Right.
Essentially, by the time we're done with boiling and then simmering the stock, we've essentially made an extract. But all extracts are made with an alcohol base. But I've made it.
So something like this, because I just think there's so many wonderful bases and ways you can make your own food sophisticated by adding your product to it. So something like the Manhattan Marmalade, which tastes like a Manhattan, so maybe you would spread it on toast or whatever. Could you incorporate this in a drink?
In a drink, sure. If you
How would you do that?
I have muddled that.
Okay.
And then
so you've added it to the cocktail that you made.
I have totally ground it.
Okay.
And I've sort of made a cosmopolitan out of it.
Wow.
And so I will mix that. I'm a gin or a vodka drink or a champagne drink.
I like gin.
So so I will muddle that and pour that over ice and vodka.
But this with champagne would be really nice because not everybody likes champagne.
That's right.
I hear that often, but people say champagne toast. I don't like it.
Gives me a headache.
But if you did something with this, it makes it a little bit special. So that's interesting. Do most people, if they buy this particular one, use it in some way that's with alcohol as opposed to using it?
Most people, I have a recovering alcoholic who uses that.
Oh, it's a soothing
as he does 2 jars of that a week.
So in that case, because you're creating it as an essence, there's really no alcohol content.
There's no alcohol in it.
It's just a wonderful flavor. So some of the brown liquors, like the bourbon and the rye, they're the flavors are so terrific.
Exactly.
So to extract them is a wonderful thing.
Well, I mean, I've sort of done that with the Dark and Stormy, which is a lime and orange marmalade, but that's with spiced rum and ginger beer.
Why don't we go to the next image? Okay, so that's you in your kitchen. Oh, here's champagne. Okay, great. So I love the baskets.
Thank you.
How do you, for holiday, because this makes a wonderful gift, and now, hopefully now, we're in the beginning of November, if they order and I want your information now, when they order from your website, what's the turnaround time usually to get it?
Well, first of all, it depends on where you are, but we ship USPS priority, so most people have everything within 3 days.
So if they ordered now in November, no problem
getting
it
for holidays? Absolutely not. And I ship for them. So they'll tell me, gee, I want to send a gift pack to Richard Scuderi. They'll provide me with your address, and off it'll go. And they'll tell me when they want it. So
now, do you do them? And it's just beautifully the way you've done this. Do you do them? I see beautiful boxes. Do you normally do a gift box? Why don't you pull out one of the boxes if you can, and I'll put it on the screen here.
This, for instance, is my 4-piece 9-ounce set, and I call that my chef's favorite.
Let's talk about what is the website, because we have less than 10 minutes.
So it's preservesandmarmalade.com.
preservesandmarmalade.com, which is your website.
That's my website.
And you can order right off the website.
Right off the website.
So this would be a box. So if somebody would say, okay, I want to give a gift set, they get this beautiful box with the ribbon.
Right.
Okay, so
and inside that box are 4 recipe cards corresponding to, and that's the chef's favorite one. So that's got the lemon blueberry, the orange almond apricot, it's got the very berry, and it's got my spiced peach. And there are 4 recipe cards to correspond to them.
To do them. So, do you find most people buy this just because they love the taste? Do you find that most people buy this because it's so sophisticated they do things with it?
Oh, no, they love it for the taste.
Okay. Let's talk about the other box there, because you have a different box.
Yeah, now this is just a 2-piece set.
This is the 2-piece set. So these are these are very festive, good-looking.
Right.
One, so you could just do simply 2,
3, 4,
and you ship anywhere in the United States.
Anywhere in the United States. I've shipped to Hawaii and Alaska.
Terrific.
And I've shipped abroad as well. Sure.
Oh wow, overseas.
Yeah.
Now, what is the shelf life of your preserves? I would think for some reason it would have a long shelf life.
It has about a year and a half. You keep it in a cool, dark place.
Right.
Once you open it, you'll refrigerate it, and once you open it, it's not going to last a year and a half.
No, exactly, exactly. Let's talk about some of the other ones here, because I think they're just beautiful to look at. I particularly like raspberries, so I'm looking at this one. Now this one, I can see all the wonderful raspberry seeds. It really is like a jar of fruit, right? This particular one. This kind of connotes to me sort of summer, right? So are some of them seasonal? Like right now, of the 47 varieties, do you always have all available at the same time, or some of them only seasonal? Do you know
I don't
mean?
have my Valentine product now. I don't have my springtime products now, but I always have the full complement of our fruit preserves.
Okay.
I have never retired any of them. I just I don't have to keep the same stock level of blackberry that I have to keep of, say, the very berry.
Right.
I mean, after a while, you just know what's going to sell and what.
So this one, I love it because I don't equate this particular one, and I'll make you tell them what it is. This preserve is actually, go ahead, say it.
This is a gin and tonic marmalade.
I mean, just one straw, right?
That's right.
So tell me, how did you come up with fruit that tastes like gin and tonic?
Well, I've steeped the lemons and the limes in gin, juniper berries, and tonic.
Right. So I'm going to ask you a question because I say this all the time and people say I'm wrong. People say that, and you just said it, I like either vodka or gin, right? So gin is actually vodka that's been infused with juniper berries. They're not different liquors. And
No, that's not true.
Okay, so I have heard many people debate that. Is that in fact not true?
No, because
What's the difference between gin and vodka?
is made from a totally different animal. Vodka is made from starch,
Right.
and gin is made from berries.
Berries. Oh, well, I thought it was just infused with
No,
berries.
no,
so
no,
good
no,
to
no.
know.
It's juniper berries.
So juniper berries are really giving you sort of the essence of the gin
That's
and
right.
tonic, because you're
That's
picking
right.
up the gin with
That's
that,
right.
and then you have the citrus that are picking up the accent if you had a
That's right.
gin and tonic.
That's right.
Wonderful. What would somebody, besides normally just eating this as a sort of a wonderful thing to eat, what would somebody do with this typically, you think?
I put it over ice cream.
Oh, isn't that interesting? Gin
I
and
mean, it's a
tonic
great
over ice
summer.
cream.
It's a great summer dessert. Easy.
Gin and tonic seems like a very summer one. I have the summer side, I think. The raspberry seemed like a summer one. I want to talk about the onion one because I love onions. Is the onion one out
Well, we
here?
don't have that one. That's the honey roasted tomato and the hatch green chili that we
Okay.
talked about earlier, and that has roasted onion and garlic in it.
Yum.
That was my answer to people pestered me, and I don't mean that in a bad way.
No, they were
about
looking for
making
savory.
a pepper preserve.
Okay.
And my feeling was there are lots of good pepper preserves out there, and I, being who I am, it couldn't be just a plain pepper preserve. I
Right.
had to bring it up a notch. And so that's my answer to pepper preserves.
Let's talk about from you get a recipe,
Right.
right? You perfect it.
Right.
What is the process, or how long does it take from you? Because I know you have a commercial kitchen
Right.
that you work out of. When you start the batch, if you will, to jar, how long
Marmalades
does that take?
take 3 days.
3 days.
It's a 3 day.
Tell us-
it's
tell
a
us
3
what
day.
the process
Well, the
is.
first process is I'm slicing fruit, and I'm I'm chunking fruit.
So you do one at a time, and you do them in batches.
I do not make a single product that I get more than 8 or 9 jars out of,
Okay,
and
so
I'm going to make 40,000
So
jars.
you really have quality because you make small batches.
Absolutely small batches.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Right.
But so marmalade's a 3 day process.
Right.
The conserves are really a 1 day process, except that, for instance, with the scented port wine, I've been macerating cranberries now since August.
Sure.
So is that a 1 day process? It's a 1 day process to make it, but it's been a process of preparation for it. It's the same thing with the other conserves, with the other marmalades. It's processing the fruit however it is I'm going to use it. Some fruits are macerated, others are not. On the screen earlier we had the holiday Stollens that I made.
Yeah, let's go to the next one because I wanted to get to the Stollens before the end. So,
Okay, so
these are just beautiful. So.
Right.
Do you also sell these for mail order, or did you just this is for yourself?
You want you want that, you have to call me.
Okay.
You have to call me.
So give us your number.
And
or we will.
973, that's my personal number, 973-951-9433.
So Stollens are gorgeous, and you have no way of knowing this, but my Christmas morning breakfast is always the same thing. It's a cup of coffee with eggnog instead of milk, which is like
Okay, yeah.
17,000 calories,
Right.
and it's just a piece of Stollen.
Stollen.
Now, through the first couple of years when I had Stollen, it was like, right?
Right.
Because stolons are classically what? Dry.
Dry.
These look amazing. So I would imagine these incorporate either the fruit that you've been working with or your preserves.
No, they absolutely don't.
Okay.
They are made with a log of marzipan in the center.
Wow.
But the fruits in those are red raisins, dark raisins, golden raisins, currants,
Right.
candied lemon peel, candied orange peel, and they have also been macerating since August in spiced rum. So it's, this is an authentic German Stollen.
I really love a good Stollen, but it has to, it's just like fruitcake. Fruitcake is such a bad rap. People like fruit.
Right.
No, a good fruitcake is
It's delicious.
It's fantastic.
Right.
But there's a process,
Right.
right? Because I've had fruitcake where it's just made, and then you go through the month and you're basting it, and it gets better and better and better. And then it becomes something fantastic.
Right.
And usually typically very expensive because there's a lot to it. So we have about 2 minutes left. Let's talk about, because people are going to want to get to you now.
Okay.
And we're going to run this soon. So for the holidays, for Thanksgiving, for Christmas, let's talk about your product name again. The name of your product is Gregory Benjamin Preserves.
Yeah, just Gregory Benjamin.
Okay.
My website is preserves
and marmalades.
.com.
Plural.
Right.
And then from the
no,
site.
Preserves plural, marmalade singular.
Okay.
Preserves and marmalade.com.
Okay. And from the website, they can actually order.
They can purchase. They can purchase from Facebook as well on my Facebook page.
Okay, great.
If they go to the Gregory Benjamin Facebook page.
If I were to order today, typically, and I'm in New Jersey and this close by, do you get it in a couple of days?
Oh,
What's
if I got home tonight and I had your order,
Right.
it would. I try not to. It depends on where it's going to. I don't like my product sitting in a post office depot over the weekends.
Sure.
I like to know that it's going to be moving.
Right.
So I typically don't ship on Fridays.
Okay.
So if I had your order tomorrow,
Right.
it would go on Thursday.
Right.
Because you're here in New Jersey, and I know you're going to have it by Saturday.
Right. And you say you don't have to refrigerate it until you open it.
it.
So you have about a year and a half.
Yeah.
So you can buy it. You
Cool,
can put
dark
it,
place.
Right. You have it under the
Just
counter.
like anything else you put in your
Right.
pantry.
And then boom. So when it's open, would you say it's best? Probably it's fine, but it's probably not as good on day 45 as in day 10, right?
No.
Right.
It's absolutely better.
Oh, it's better. Okay, so good to know.
Yeah.
Once it's opened, I mean.
Absolutely. There is no difference from start to finish.
Sure. Let's go to the last graphic before we finish up here. Okay, so this is baking that you've done.
So these were
What are these?
phyllo tarts.
Okay.
Where I did a mascarpone.
Now, are these look more like hors d'oeuvres? Are these savory?
No, these were
dessert.
for desserts for a party.
So little desserts for a party.
Yeah, that were butlered. It was a big cocktail party, and it was.
They're gorgeous. So quickly, we have just about 20 seconds left. What are the three kinds?
So we had the McGregory Benjamin marmalade. We had the spiced peach, and this looks like it's the orange almond apricot.
Absolutely wonderful. Well,
Thank
listen,
you.
Greg, I knew you were going to be a good guest. We'll do this again.
loved it.
We'll do another show in the springtime. Maybe
Absolutely.
We'll do some like seasonal fruits
Yeah.
and with some stuff
Terrific.
like that. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks so much. Thanks for asking me to join you.
Thank you for being here.
Great.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.